Hey, how's it going, guys, and welcome back to the channel. The goal of this video is to be the ultimate resource for the CRF300L when it comes to handlebar choices. Very likely if you clicked on this video, you are searching all over the internet just to try to understand what are exactly the dimensions of the original handlebar and how does it compare to other handlebars available in the market that you can use to upgrade your Honda CRF300L. So let me break it down what you're going to see on this video. Number one, I'm going to remove the original handlebar and then take the measurements. Also give you the measurements of the Pro Taper CR High. Number two, not only I'm going to give you the measurements of the handlebars by themselves, meaning they're out of the motorcycle, but I'm going to compare them mounted on the motorcycle. And finally, and most important, when you put this information together, it should be a video that helps you decide what is the correct handlebar for you, for your height, for your limitations of your body, for the style of riding that you're doing. So if this sounds like something you're interested, stick around and let's do it step by step. I have both handlebars in here, and now we are going to do the comparison, and I'm going to share the table with you so you have the results directly to the point. So to start, let's check the weight. Okay, so here I have taken 3 different measurements of the weight. On this table you can see that the Pro Taper CR High fully assembled, including the foam pad, comes in at 916 grams. Some people like to remove the foam pad. If you do that, you save about 100 grams, so it goes down to 816 grams. And finally, the stock handlebar of the Honda CRF300L, it's 913 grams. So you see that choosing this handlebar is not really going to bring you a lot of weight savings in here. Here's another dimension that might be useful to you, is the internal diameter of the Pro Taper. This is in case you want to install some hand guards or some weights, bar end weights. So let's check the internal diameter. So that comes in at 14 millimeters, which is pretty standard. Just in case you're wondering, on the original one you don't have this opening here because there's a thread for a screw. The width of the Pro Taper, 800 millimeters, and the width of the original handlebar from the CRF300L, 790. So now let's check the height from the table up to the beginning of the handlebar. 95 millimeters. And now for the original handlebar, 80 millimeters. The next measurement now is going to be the rise of the handlebar. On the Pro Taper, we have a 67 millimeters, which is much more than what you have on the stock of only 50 millimeters. Now let's check the clamp area, which is the center portion here of the handlebar, excluding the curve that you have in here. So once again, I just have to approximate, but it would be about 200 to 205 millimeters, so matching with what Pro Taper says on the website of 204. Now let's check on the OEM, and it's about 150 millimeters. So a big difference on the clamp area, much smaller on the original handlebar. Now let's measure the sweep, and that's an important measurement. This is how much the section that you're holding the handlebar, it's angled towards you. So just to give an extreme example, if it was like this, then this would be a much larger sweep compared if it was completely straight. So a sweep of 0 millimeters, so no sweep at all, you would be a straight handlebar. And the more there's a curve and angle towards you, that's the sweep. So let's check that. So we have 55 millimeters. Now let's check the OEM handlebar. And that comes at about 75, 76 millimeters. So in other words, you have a much more aggressive sweep with the original handlebar, while the Pro Taper is much more straight. The control area is how much space you have available here to attach the controls of your motorcycle. So not many people talk about this, and this is also not listed. So let's check this out. On the Pro Taper, you have 180 millimeters for the control area. And for the OEM, you have 240 millimeters. So this is very important because you're losing 60 millimeters on each side. So you have much less space to clamp everything on your handlebar. Okay, so now that you know what are the differences in between the measurements of the 2 handlebars, the real question is how does it translate once they are mounted onto the motorcycle? And even more important, what is the impact for you as a rider. So let's take a look now at some of these differences here on the motorcycle. In order to compare that and show to you the differences, I have the original handlebar. I'm going to take some measurements of it, and I will do the same comparing with the Pro Taper handlebar. What you see me doing there now is really just comparing the original handlebar with the Pro Taper CR High. And here's what I can tell you. When you go from the original to the Pro Taper CR High, the actual difference when you mount them on the motorcycle is that the Pro Taper CR High is about 17 millimeters higher from the ground. So where you grab the handlebar is going to be 17 millimeters more up, and it's also more towards the front of the motorcycle. So it's 7 millimeters the difference. So it's further 7 millimeters away from you, or 7 millimeters more towards the front of the motorcycle. That's the difference between these two handlebars. So let's visualize the impact of changing these measurements. If you have a handlebar width which is bigger, meaning your handlebar sticks more out in here, then this is going to force your arm to be more at an angle. So this can be a bit more comfortable when you're sitting down instead of being more straight like this. This allows you to rest your arms in this position. Likewise, it's also the sweep. So the angle of the handlebar, the more it is angled towards you, the more it's going to force you to turn your elbows towards the inside of your body. And the more straight the handlebar is, the more it forces your elbows to stick out, like this. Here I have my hand perpendicular to the handlebar, and if I would simply change the angle like this, more straight handlebar, you see that naturally my elbow wants to stick out like this. However, if I have a sweep which is more aggressive, meaning that this angle it's more towards me, so that would force me to get my elbows closer to my body. So that is the impact in here. So you have to think, what do you want to achieve? Number one, when sitting down, do you want to have your elbows at a more aggressive position? So then you go for a straighter handlebar, which forces you to stick out your elbow. If you want to be more comfortable in a relaxed position, then the more sweep you have, the more natural it's going to be to just be relaxed like this. So now let's check what is the impact when you're standing on the motorcycle. So as I stand, I put myself in a good position, as you usually would ride. And most riders are going to have two positions. You're going to have the more comfortable when you're more upright, and you have the more aggressive when you have your knees and your ankles a little bit flexed to act as a shock absorber in here. So with a more mid position in here, if I would have wider handlebars, so this immediately forces me to flex a little bit my elbows to compensate for the height. So you can imagine, to give an extreme example, if I would close my hands like this, I'm going to be very tall on the motorcycle. And the more I have to open, the more I have to bring my torso down, as I'm losing the length of my arm to have this angle in here. So just thinking here, if you're standing too tall and you have a wider handlebar, that's going to help you to come down the motorcycle. If you have a shorter handlebar, that's going to bring you up on the motorcycle. The next variable is going to be the sweep. What is the impact once you're standing up? So if I have a sweep which is more towards me, so this angle, it's more towards my body, then I have to, once again, turn my elbows towards the inside. So I would be more in this position. But if I have a more straight bar, meaning less sweep in here, then my elbows are naturally going to come up. It's more comfortable to bring my elbows up. So this facilitates to have this movement to be more aggressive or an attack position like this. So the impact with the Pro Taper CR High is that the handlebar is now a little bit taller, is at least a little bit wider, and is also a bit more towards the front of the motorcycle. So the sweep is reduced. So when I sit now, that's how I'm going to sit. And when I stand up, that is the impact in here. So my hand, instead of being more towards the back, a little bit towards the back and lower down, it's a little bit more up and towards the front of the motorcycle. And then this angle in here, it also makes it easier for me to stick out my elbow, since the sweep is reduced. So instead of pushing my elbow towards the inside of my body like this, it's easier for me to spread my elbows like this. So does that mean that the Pro Taper CR High is the correct handlebar for you? Well, the answer is quite obvious, not really. It depends of your body, of your type of riding, how do you feel comfortable. So what you have to do now is to take the information that I have shared on this video and simply adapt to your needs. So go ahead, sit down on the motorcycle and try to visualize where do you want to have your hands on the handlebar. And if you feel that there is a need for a change, just compare with the table I have shared and try to adapt accordingly. It could be that the Pro Taper CR High is the correct one, but in case it's not, it's no big deal. You simply can use the table I have created on this video against the table of a different handlebar that you are considering to buy. That is everything I had to share on this video. It has taken me quite a lot of time to put this video together, so it doesn't cost you anything and it helps me out a lot if you can leave it a like. Maybe consider subscribing if you enjoy this type of content, and I see you on the next video. Bye bye.